In this video, I competed in the final round of qualifying at my first 15k tournament of the year. I played against a Frenchman who was seed number 10 in qualifying and had recently beaten some players ranked inside the top 400 ATP and was in some good form, so no doubt was going to be a tough match. So I was first on at 10 o'clock, so I had to get down to breakfast pretty early when they opened at 7:30. Of course, was warming up with James, so I had breakfast with him. I tried to keep it pretty light. I had a bowl with some oats and some carbs, as well as some fruit to make sure I was fueling myself for the sessions to come, and obviously my match. I also want to take the opportunity to show you what's in my bag for this first tournament back that I'm on the tour. So guys, obviously with it being my first match coming up, I'm just going to give you a quick look at exactly kind of what's in my bag, what I've got. So first off, we've got the side pockets. These are just for small things, you know, wristbands, shock absorbers, stuff like that. Then you've obviously got racket section. I've bought 4 rackets with me here, and obviously strings and tennis saber with me as well. Middle section, we've got little bits and pieces, so some energy gels for my match, headphones, my arm sleeve. A lot of you asking about this. I just bought it on Amazon. It's just a compression sleeve, and then obviously some electrolytes, stuff like that. Also got some practice balls. Obviously, you know, when I'm hitting with James or warming up, these are great because they're the same balls that the tournament practices with, so you can get a feel for the balls before you play your match. And finally, in this last compartment, by the way, I love this new Dunlop bag. It's nice. The one I had before was like red. I feel like this looks way cooler. I think I ordered the 12 racket bag, but this might be the 15, so I've got a bit more space to work with. This section, obviously some water, that's super important. Towel. The weather's okay here in Greece at the moment, so you know, if it's sunny then that will definitely be needed. And finally, we've got a little medical kit. I keep most of my stuff around, you know, the bedside table. I only take out what I need. So I've got some tape in there for my arm just to give it a little bit of extra support, some deep heat, some Voltarol, stuff like that, and finally some grips. So that's essentially what I've got in my bag. And obviously, finally, we've got a little compartment here with my tennis shoes. I actually started using these shoes recently. Probably one of my favorite shoes I've played with over the last few months from Nike. Yeah, they're one of my favorites that I've been playing with so far. I think they look really cool as well. So let's go. Guys, so it's currently 7:50. I'm going to aim to be on court by about 8:10, have a 20-25 minute hit, and 9 o'clock is the start of the matches. We might have umpires, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm super pumped. I'm not that nervous actually, I'm pretty excited. The warm-up, like the others, consisted mainly of some band work, warming up the glutes, opening up the hips, making sure that the upper body was warm. Obviously for me it's important that my rotator cuffs are working really well, so the shoulder exercises and mobility while I'm hitting serves, and obviously that's the muscles surrounding my elbow, so it's going to be working in, you know, conjunction with the muscles in the elbow, so it's important that that's all ready and warm to make sure that it's preventing injury and optimizing the way that I'm playing. We then jumped on court with James. We worked on just hitting up and down the middle, hitting some backhands, hitting some forehands, feeling the court. This was the court that I was going to be playing on, so it was ideal that we were warming up on it. Also hitting some volleys and some smashes and finishing with some serve and return. A pretty basic standard warm-up, which is pretty similar. As you'll see if you watch other tennis YouTubers, or I guess myself, a lot of the match day routines are very, very similar, so it's quite tough to kind of show certain things that are different, you know, in a YouTube video, but I think it's really important to keep to a similar routine so you're comfortable and you can really play your best tennis. It was then time to jump on court and play and compete for a place in the main draw. So going into this match, unfortunately I wasn't on the show court again, but nevertheless I was, you know, super confident going into the third round of qualifying with a win under my belt. You know, I wanted to play a super aggressive brand of tennis, try and come to the net, come forwards. I knew that my opponent, having watched some of his matches in American college, he went to Kentucky University. He was a very consistent player. He didn't miss a lot of balls. He was going to make, you know, me play, and, you know, had a very flat backhand, which was going to drive low to my backhand. So I definitely wanted to stay as much as possible on my forehand, try and, you know, move him around the court, mix up my pace of play. I also knew that obviously there's going to be, you know, some moments where he outplays me, that's natural, and some moments where I outplay him. But the main aim is to kind of keep the level as consistent as possible throughout the whole match, because as soon as you dip, obviously your opponent's going to really take advantage of that straight away. So even from the beginning of the match, just trying to be consistent, play a good brand of tennis, and, you know, try and get ahead. So unfortunately we do get broken and he's on serve here. As you can see maybe by, you know, how the ball's moving, it was very windy, there was a crosswinds. And I also thought that, you know, serving and volleying would also be, or at least coming forward to the net would be a good tactic, because, you know, you're taking away time where the ball's going to be then able to move, and also good, you're going to mean, especially when you're playing a, you know, a high quality player, that you're not giving him an opportunity to really get into the points. So this game here at 3-1 was an opportunity for me to really knuckle down and try and win some points. I knew I was obviously down a break, so I had to try and fight to break back quite quickly. Otherwise, I'm really going to be in trouble in this first set. 4-1 down with my opponent on serve. So I definitely tried to utilise my forehand as much as possible to try and come forwards and just try and play confidently, The only thing I really noticed, however, though, kind of from playing these matches is just the fact that, I was having some really good spells, playing really good tennis, keeping up to the level, in my opinion, good enough to win the match. And then sometimes, you have these little dips, losing concentration slightly, not playing quite to the level I was expecting, missing a few shots because the ball's a bit too close to me. And that's definitely the stuff that after playing more matches and hitting more tennis balls, basically, I'm going to kind of try and smooth out in my game, because that's definitely the area to work on right now, is that consistency between the games. Not in the point, not the consistency of like the rally ball. It's more just the consistency between game to game and set to set, which is going to really improve my game and make sure that I'm putting more pressure on my opponent, more regularly, which is going to make them, make errors and feel a bit more pressure. That was a tough game there at 3-1, getting broken. I had so many game point opportunities I just wasn't able to capitalise. But, my one thing I said to myself is to really have a strong mindset here at 4-1 up on serve. And I tried to really take advantage of that and said to myself, look, let's try and get a break back here, make it nice and close again in this first set. He'd beaten his two opponents in the first two rounds of qualifying, 6-1, 6-2 and 6-love, 6-love. So he was definitely a player who knew how to, lead from the front. And that was definitely something where, every game is an opportunity where, he's in unfamiliar territory. He may, get a bit nervous, and he hasn't experienced that so far this tournament, so maybe I can push him slightly out of his comfort zone. Obviously, these are things kind of in my head, obviously more exaggerated. When you guys are listening to this, you might think, what's he talking about? He's obviously not going to think that. But to me, that's something that I'm trying to use in my head, to almost use against him, to find a way of really digging myself out and fighting. And so I think that, definitely going into the second set, just trying to string enough points together to be kind of consistent and make balls is definitely going to be a positive thing. So slightly disappointing end to the first set, to be honest. I was a bit unhappy with how I was hitting my backhand, just making too many unforced errors, frankly. And I felt a little bit clunky, a little bit rusty. That was to be expected. Not every game's going to be great. But I tried to regroup at the beginning of this first set. Took my base layer off because it was getting pretty toasty, and just come with a different mindset at the beginning of this set. It was definitely a time where he was beginning to raise his level, be super consistent, solid, strong to my backhand. He was getting some slices really low in there, which made it tough for me, and moving me around the court. And I think, watching myself back, I was maybe just being a bit too passive. I think that when I play my best tennis, it's when I'm being aggressive, when I'm hitting my forehand, when I'm really playing aggressively, and I think that some of the time I was just being a bit too hesitant and too pushy on the ball. And when I was really hitting my serve, hitting my forehand, getting to the net, that's when I can see myself now winning points. But in the moment, that wasn't something which really occurred to me, and that comes down to the game IQ of playing matches as well, and being aware of your surroundings in the moment. So that's again a very big positive I took away from that first set and the first game of this set as well. And that's an error I can't make there, just going up the line instead of going back cross, and that was a really bad note to start the set on. I was a bit disappointed that I'd given him that opportunity. Yeah, frustrating when you make an error like that. I mean, I was obviously trying to go kind of back behind or to the space down the line, but he was obviously just standing there, so unfortunately got broken in that first game. And I think from there my head just went a little bit. I was a little bit frustrated at that first game, and a little bit annoyed because of the closeness in the beginning of that first set. I feel like I'd squandered a bit of an opportunity, and that's how tennis goes sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and claim that I'm perfect, because I'm definitely not. There's definitely a long way to improve in my level if I want to be playing at the high levels, playing getting ATP points and getting up the ranks. But I still think that this match was a great opportunity, and it showed me that having played the second match post-surgery against a guy who's nearly top 1,000, who will probably be top 500 by the end of the year in my opinion, that I can play the same level and win a lot of points. It's just maintaining that for a longer period of time. But in this set, as you can see here, just losing concentration for a few service games, just putting too many unforced errors into the net, and that almost caused a landslide in momentum for my opponent, who was able to just capitalize on my mistakes. I'm right here at 40 love. I was frustrated. I was almost in that zone of just hitting the ball at this point. Really annoyed. 6-2, 5 love down. I mean, it's not a good scoreline. But something right here clicked to me, and I just said, look, just try and fight. Just try and find a way of coming back in this match, because at the end of the day, look, every opportunity is a good opportunity. And I started really hitting the ball. I started playing really well. I started really timing the ball well and getting good depth on my shot and just playing freely. And that was definitely something which allowed me to win a lot of points. And I think that this is something, if I had done it earlier, would have, I think, massively made a difference in this match, because not only was I more confident because I was hitting winners and playing a lot of good shots, he was also getting a bit more nervous. He was getting, pushing the ball slightly more, and I was able to just rip my forehand and really do some damage. But at this point, I think I really made a change in my head, a forceful change to just try and be aggressive. I've got nothing to lose. Come to the net, be aggressive, and just see how much damage I can do, really. And he began to make some errors. He began to, whether that's nerves, whether it's just lack of concentration, definitely probably wasn't nerves. It was more just maybe lost the concentration. But I began playing very well. I 5-2 here, managed to get the break to prevent losing a set 6 love. And just being super positive, reinforcing that positiveness, and I think you can just see in the way that I'm playing, I've got an extra spring in my step, and that was definitely something which I was happy with at the time. Had I done it slightly earlier and got myself in a better mindset earlier, I may have been in a totally different position in this match. As you can see, they're breaking to go 5-3. I mean, now the momentum's totally on my side. I definitely didn't see this coming forward to the net, being super positive. If I get this game, it's 5-4 and it's anyone's game. I mean, obviously he's on serve with the win, but I broke him once on that side, and this really gave me some confidence. I know that when I play my level and my game is there, I can win these matches, and I think that that's a very, very positive thing. Against a player like this. And obviously he's still going to fight back, but I was really in the zone, focused, and it pains me a little bit that I couldn't find this level earlier, and I think that speaks to the fact that I haven't had as much match practice, and that that's going to come, that level and that maintained level for time, just because this is the second match in 4 or 5 months. There's going to be those times where you just become a bit complacent, but he's managed to go up 40 love with 2 or 3 good serves and ends up winning the match there. Yes guys, so post-match Felix here, obviously not the result we wanted. He ended up making it all the way to the final of the main draw, singles and doubles, so he picked up 8 ATP points, so he was a very, very strong player. I took a lot of positives from that first week. I'm super excited to go and play the second week. We didn't make it into doubles, unfortunately, so that's not the best news. However, next week, we're going to go again in the singles and hopefully, fingers crossed, in the doubles. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.